This podcast is rated ES for extremely silly and may contain bad words, bad jokes, and other bad content that is not suitable for children. Or maybe it is. We don't know. We're not their parents. You're listening to the Starforge podcast with Scya and Mal, two nerds who have a lot to say about Star Wars: The Old Republic and all its features. Rest assured, the podcast is working as intended. This is Episode 6. Credits, Lies, and Exploitation. Hello, SWTOR players. I am Mal.
And I'm Scya.
And we are so happy that you're here with us today. We're going to be doing things a little differently. I hope you enjoy. So let's roll back real quick before we get into this crazy episode. I loved the comments about the WoW dude from last week. Overwhelming gamer response. Overwhelming stand for this guy, that he is not an asshole.
I loved that. Every single person who plays games as a common level, who plays on a regular basis, knows that she should have brought her keys. She could wait 5 minutes. That was it. There was no question about it, apparently, for you guys.
Yeah, but then you read the comments on Reddit, and I thought I was gonna die. They're like, "You're an asshole. She could have been murdered in the vestibule. She could have died, and you were playing a game." What?
Well, good. At least we got that raid done. Who cares about her?
Damn, calm down. Calm down, normies of Reddit. Jeez. Like, I get delivery all the time, and I don't think I've ever once feared for my life. Seriously. I love that. God, we order so much from the Thai place, the guy knows me. And one time, my husband answered the door, and he didn't see me. And then when we ordered next week, I answered the door, and he was like, "Are you okay? Are you all right? I didn't see you last week."
He wanted to check up on you? That's so sweet.
They just want to give you your food and go on to the next house. Scya, what have you been up to this week?
I've been working on playing on a bunch of my different characters. I've been working on leveling up their renown. I'm hoping to get to renown rank 100 on as many of them as I can before the expansion eventually hits. It's been a lot of fun. Been carried through a lot of groups, been running a lot of world bosses, random operations, pretty much anything I can get renown from. It's been pretty fun to have a good reason to go and play those characters I don't normally jump onto.
Cool, girl. Damn, I was going to tell you that I rode the ferry downtown and waved at the Statue of Liberty.
That's pretty cool. I went and saw some pumpkins that were lit up.
Oh.
There was a SpongeBob pumpkin. That's all I know. That's all that matters.
Is it? I think I missed the boat on SpongeBob. Sorry. God, there's another X in my book for half the audience.
I'm sorry. You're too old.
Oh, man. So, as I said earlier, everyone, we're going to do things a little bit differently for this show because we feel like we really, really need to address something going on in-game right now that is, honestly, Scya, I've been playing this game 10 years, and I have never seen shit like this before in this game.
Right, this is really crazy. We picked this up as a topic about a week ago, and now it's really coming to a head to the point that a BioWare developer has actually mentioned it. So today we're going to skip over disappointing other people. Don't worry, people will still be around next week, and they'll still be just as disappointing. But right now, we're going to bring you a special news bulletin about the Star Wars: The Old Republic economy.
This is a Starforge podcast special report.
So we know for months, Mal, that the inflation in the Star Wars: The Old Republic economy has been steadily getting worse and worse, and it all seems to come to a head today. On the forums, there was a post titled, "BioWare, GTN prices are insane. It's time to do something." We don't know exactly what all of the posts in that thread were because it seems many have been deleted because the players got so frustrated. They were probably using all kinds of nasty stuff that wasn't appropriate for the forum. So what did the developer actually say in there?
Oh, you want me to read this little thingy? What did they say? They don't say shit. They never say shit.
Right, they didn't address the topic at all, but they addressed the fact that players were so upset that they needed to be reminded to use their civil words. So when we...
Oh, it was a trick question. I'm looking at the notes what did they say? Did they say something?
I mean, I was hoping you would read it out. I was hoping.
Was zooming in on the picture. Like, was there actually words written there that meant anything except a bunch of bullshit?
I was hoping you would read it out, but you're right. It didn't actually say anything to us, but it did point out just how upset players are about the inflation and the economy, particularly on the GTN, the player run trade network. So we actually picked this topic a week ago because Hypercrates, one of the most expensive items in the game, those items that you can open up and there's a whole bunch of little items in them that have random cartel market items inside. They could be something really rare, something garbage, but you've got a good chance of hopefully finding some awesome platinum item you can either enjoy or make a ton of credits off of. But Hypercrates are now so expensive that they are selling for over 1 billion credits. They are so expensive that they can't even be listed on the GTN, which has a limit of 1 billion credits, so players have resorted to selling Hypercrates through chat, as it's no longer worth listing them on the GTN. This is how bad the inflation has gotten.
Insane. And maybe that's why I have not seen any Zerka crate listings either.
It's very possible. Any rare item that's going to reach that billion cap is just not going to show up on the GTN.
Crazy. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just looked the other day and I was like, no hyper crates. What?
I didn't know there was a limit either until I saw some players talking about it, and I decided to double check in chat about how much does a hypercrate sell for. A couple of people said 1 billion. I double checked the GTN, nothing on our server, and I'm starting to hear that this is just the norm now. This is the new era of inflation. Too expensive for the GTN.
This is insane because when anybody in the group needed money when Duxon dropped, we'd go, oh, buy a hypercrate. You can get 300 mil, 400 mil for a hypercrate. And Duxon dropped when? Duxon dropped about 2 years ago today. Yeah?
A year ago, too.
2 years ago.
I actually went back to some of my historical data, and while it's not apples to apples because some of the older hypercrates were different, some of the older hypercrates sold for just 30 to 60 million credits. And that was considered like a good price. And now we're at 1 billion.
It's crazy. So I know kind of how it got this way. Mostly exploits and people cheating. There is a lot of money in the economy right now, and it's got to be coming from somewhere. So, Scya, I know that you know so much about Swtor, and you've been playing for such a long time, and you are very knowledgeable. I want you to tell me what happened, what got us here, because I think that there was a really bad exploit that happened maybe a year or two ago, and I think that that's what set this off. So can you tell me and everybody listening what this was?
Yeah, you're not too far off. There was one really, really big one that really put things into this horrible tailspin. But exploits for credits have actually been happening for a very long time. One of the earliest ones was all the way back from like 2012 from the launch of the game. So over the years, various ways that allow players to duplicate credits or items showed up. The credit ones were the ones that caused the most havoc to the economy. So during the worst one, billions of credits were generated by taking advantage of the in-game vendors in-game. They weren't like hacking the code or anything crazy like that. They were just using some bugs or glitches that got introduced to the game in various patches to generate like 10 million credits a second, really crazy amounts like that. The problem is that those credit duplicators, those players, then went and bought all the rare items in the GTN. So the billions and billions of credits that were generated, many of them were distributed even to normal people. So obviously you're like, why doesn't BioWare just delete their credits? Well, because they wound up in the pockets of a bunch of normal players as well. And when they did actually go and ban those players, first off, a bunch of those items that were legitimate that got bought up, they just get deleted. They don't go back into the economy. They're just gone forever with that frozen banned account, making the supply really low and the credits in the non-banned economy high. So players like you and me who had something sell on the GTN, those credits are now in our pockets and in the greater economy. And lastly, those credits from multiple exploits over the years, the ones that weren't outright banned or deleted, they actually laundered the credits in various different ways. So they'd send them to a friend, send them through the guild bank, stash them in the legacy bay when it was new, and all the credits are still in the hands of exploiters who weren't banned. they're still there as well. Now, Mal mentioned a really bad exploit that really set things off. So everything has been snowballing over the years, but this one was especially horrible. It was known as the companion gift bug. Basically, players were able to buy companion gifts for 0 credits from the vendor and sell them back to the vendor for, well, not 0 credits, and they could do it in giant stacks and generate credits really fast. What was different from the past exploits is that they cleared out the GTN completely. Every rare item that was on there, they bought it up. So this exploit spread like wildfire, and not only did many players catch on to what was happening and how to do it, but also everyone saw their entire stock of rare items just disappear overnight and bought up. So if you want to learn more about this history of exploits, including all the past ones and some of the effects this had and some fun anecdotes, I'm actually putting up a video on the history of exploits and inflation in SWTOR. There's also one other small thing that has affected the economy and inflation in SWTOR, and this would have happened regardless of the exploit, so it wouldn't be nearly as bad. And that's how many credits you can get from quests and from vendors, things that are directly controlled by BioWare. So now, quests actually reward way more credits than they ever did way back in the day near the launch of the game. You can also sell things back to vendors for credits for much higher amounts than you could before. For example, I know a lot of players like to dump level 75 gear straight into the vendors, making a ton of credits.
So, what you're telling me is there is a pattern of history where they have had problems with people buying and selling things to the vendors that they have put. So, somewhere, someone is not checking this stuff adequately. Now, I know there have been some really bad ones over the years, but as you just said, the one with the companion gift was absolutely the worst I have ever heard of.
It was really bad. That one was back in 2017, but we're still seeing the effects 4 to 5 years down the road now.
So, seriously, when something like that happens and it's that bad that people have so many credits that they're buying everything off the GTN, why in the hell did you not take the servers down and fucking roll them back?
I don't know. I really want to know. This seems to be a really big question that goes around, like, why didn't they roll back the servers? We obviously don't know exactly how fast the BioWare developers actually caught on to the problem. They did eventually address it on the forums, but that was like a while after it happened. It was like multiple hours later. And nobody seems to really know why they didn't roll back the servers. I couldn't find any real information about it online. If anyone knows, I would love to hear it. My only guess is that they didn't think it would help in some way. Maybe it went back further than we actually knew. Or maybe there's the potential that it would have caused too much havoc for the player base. Like the player base wouldn't want it to be rolled back and would take their money elsewhere. I don't know. So there's obviously a reason where we're missing some info here. We don't know why they didn't roll them back if it's that obvious.
I don't know. That would be what I would do. Or I don't know why. You can't go back in the logs and see where it went.
Well, it went in my pockets. It went in my pockets. I sold 60 million.
Well, then we're going to take it out of your pocket and give you your item back.
No!
Here's your item.
Stop it. Leave me alone. So, Mal, would you say you would have shut down all the servers?
Yes, and fix it.
Would you shut them all down?
Shut them all down. Shut down all the GTNs and Scya, shut down all the GTNs in the detention center.
And so not only is there, like, we were talking a little bit about how there's credits exist in the economy from the exploits, but there's also the credits incoming from quests. And we were talking last time about solo conquests, just how easy it was to blam out those multiple 100K credits very easily on your characters. Like, how do you feel about the fact that it's very easy to earn credits?
Let me say this. If you are poor in SWTOR right now, you have literally no one to blame but yourself because it is so easy.
Yeah, you didn't Google.
It's so easy. You can make it by accident. Did you run 10 characters through Conquest? Are you in a guild? Did you make a small guild by yourself? Good for you. Now you're getting rewards at the end of the Conquest cycle, including a ship encryption. Each one of those is worth well over $1 million. As you proved last week, you can log in for 10 minutes a day and run someone through Conquest and get all those rewards. It's insane.
You can roll in them credits if you want to, if you're willing to figure out how, or if you're willing to have taken part of those exploits a while back and managed not to get caught. So there's actually a bit of a misconception when it comes to where inflation comes from. We talked about it comes from the exploits, it comes from a bunch of credits entering the economy through quests and vendors and stuff like that. That's designed by BioWare. But a lot of people seem to think that cartel coins cause inflation inherently. Like if someone has a bunch of cartel coins and spends them, that's adding to the inflation of the economy. And that's actually really common misconception that goes around. So if someone has a ton of cartel coins from maybe the old referral code system, or maybe they spent that $100 and bought the giant pack of cartel coins, one way or the other, they're not adding any actual credits into the economy, so it's not hurting the inflation of the credit value. And technically, if they're buying the credits or spending the credits in the cartel market and selling the item, they're actually adding to the supply when it comes to rare items. So it would kind of bring the price down as more items enter the economy.
So they're not creating credits out of nowhere. But unlike people who sell rare decorations from flashpoints and ops, people that sell from the cartel market oftentimes are paying real world money to buy items you can only buy with real world money or by waiting around to collect cartel coins via your sub rewards, referral rewards, whatever. However, the money that is created is really just going to buying cartel market items and that's it, because there is nothing else in SWTOR right now that has any value. What do people buy on the GTN?
Right. So you're saying, like, I'm selling that rare lightsaber I bought with cartel coins. The person who's buying it is buying with credits. I have all these credits. Now, what am I getting? I'm getting some cool outfit that someone else got from the cartel market.
The only things I buy are augments I don't feel like crafting, or stims I don't feel like crafting, or armor that I don't want to spend my real world money on or my cartel coins on because I'm living in a pile of Scrooge McDuck money from how inflated the economy is.
All of my credits go towards cosmetic items, whether it's decorations, armor, lightsabers, all that kind of stuff.
So the game used to be, oh, you're a synth weaver. You have a lovely hat. You have a lovely hat that you can craft that people want to buy and put on their person. So you put it on the GTN and you make money and you've put effort into something. And now that's just gone. You use your crafting skills to pump out stuff for conquest. You do augments or stims. What else is there?
Right, there's a huge imbalance when it comes to cool stuff that you can get versus on the cartel market versus what you can get in game. Some of it has even been removed over time, like some of the older archived crafting schematics. That super cool pink crystal that you used to craft, no longer really worth crafting at all anymore. And unfortunately, there's a bit of a conflict of interest for BioWare when it comes to the cartel market and adding more ways to earn or spend credits in game, because the cartel market directly makes some money every time you make a purchase of cartel coins. The subscription directly makes some money anytime you choose not to quit your subscription. So as long as you're tolerating it in some way, they don't have to add anything new to the game ever, as long as you're still paying. Obviously, there's lots of passionate people on the team, but when it comes to a business perspective, if you're paying, they should do the least possible in the game and the most possible in the cartel market where they can get extra additional money. And that actually ties into one of the other problems that's a conflict of interest, and that's increasing the supply. So, Mal, we actually got something new in the last little while called Galactic Seasons. We've talked about it before, and that introduces a bunch of extra cartel coins into the economy, which is also kind of a conflict of interest, which is works out well for us because we get free cartel coins. But you're a bit cranky about that too, aren't you?
Am I cranky about that? I'm cranky about so much stuff. I should just keep a list by my bed. Stuff that makes me angry.
Big mystery. Yeah, so unfortunately right now we talked about how easy it is to get credits, and that trickles into some of the underworld, shady, nefarious economy as well that we won't talk too much about on this podcast, but I'm sure you can learn more elsewhere. So, Mal, we talked about some of the issues, some of how they're caused. How has this personally affected you, can I ask?
I made so much money, I'm sick of making money. I don't even craft. Because I don't really need anything. There's nothing I really need or want to buy.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I've gotten the armors and stuff that I want, and there's not really anything else left for me to get or spend my credits on.
Oh, I was gonna say something and went right out of my head. Mm. Oh, I was gonna say, I don't craft, I don't do anything. I basically just play the game, and with my rating and conquest that I do, I really just casually play the game a couple times a week and make at least, I don't know, 70 to 100 mil a week. Just
Just playing,
yeah.
right? Especially because you're doing some higher end stuff like operations and flashpoints and conquests and stuff like that. So she's not saying I'm playing the class story and making 7 to 100 mil. Just so we're clear, you'll only make 10 mil doing that. So we've talked about why the hell people are buying those mats for such a crazy price. It's because inflation and so many credits are in the economy in the first place. Now we can talk about the crazy idea of how is inflation fixed.
Saya, how are we gonna fix this?
Well, we don't, unfortunately, is the real answer. But my first idea is let's go back in time and stop the exploits. I thought it was a great idea.
I think that is an amazing idea. If this was Doctor Who, the Old Republic, or Futurama, the Old Republic. But this is Star Wars, the Old Republic, and there's no time travel here. The real solution here is for them to remove the money from the game, and they didn't do it.
And it's too late now because it's in my pocket.
It's too late now, unless there is some kind of another exploit running right now that.
Which we were actually both wondering about if there is maybe still an additional exploit happening because there is some funky stuff going on the GTN and the prices, like we said, still are going up and up and up.
Yeah, in regards to removing money, the only other MMO I have ever really played was Final Fantasy 11. And I actually checked their website. They had a task force that they started years and years ago to combat real money trade and people who exploit. And every month they publish a report that details how much money was removed from the economy and how many accounts they have banned. Every month.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
Every month they do this.
That's amazing.
They probably do this because their economy also became very out of control. I'm not quite sure the dates, was a long time ago, but I'm guessing somewhere around 2005 or 2006, the economy was absolutely out of control. An armor piece that I wore as a warrior cost 30 million gil at this point in time.
And gil's the credits, the money in the game.
Yes, gil is the credits in Final Fantasy. And they said, we are going to remove money from the game. People have been exploiting, blah, blah, blah. When we logged back in, holy crap, my armor that cost 30 million was now 900K. They absolutely tanked the economy to fix it. And people were upset. People did complain. But guess what? People still play that game to this day. And it is 2021. The servers are still up and running and people still play.
They had to invest in a team to actually do that. Sometimes I feel like SWTOR does not have a huge team. Like, I often don't feel like there's anyone moderating general chat at all, ever. I don't think I've ever seen like immediate consequences for that kind of thing. And we obviously don't know exactly how many people staff they have, but it doesn't feel like they have a ton. I don't think that's ever something we're going to see.
I agree. So that's out. The next thing you have here is credit sinks.
Yeah, so credit sinks are something that a lot of players are kind of vaguely familiar with because they're a really common idea across multiple different games. So credit sink is anything where you take credits out of the economy. So let's say you sell an item to a friend. You have a cool lightsaber, they give you 60 million credits, you get the 60 million credits. The credits are still in the economy. They still exist. You're going to go use them to buy your super cool skirt or whatever it is you're looking for your Jedi consular. They aren't removed. A credit sink is where they are actually deleted in some way in the economy. Imagine when you take an item from your inventory, drag it off to the side and delete it. It's kind of like that. But the idea is a credit sink is something introduced to a game that players will delete their credits and get something fun, but one way or the other, the credits are gone. They're not being traded to another player. So we have two really well-known ones. We've got first off the 150 million achievement on Dantooine. Just for fun, you get a silly toy and you get to get rid of 150 million credits out of the economy. And the other one is Galactic Seasons.
Yeah, but think about all the ones that used to be in the game that are now gone. your skills.
Yeah, there used to be buying skills in today's economy, that would have been nothing. That would have added up to maybe 500,000 credits, but back then that was big cash money.
It was huge. It was huge. There were people in our guild who were like, I can't play. I don't have 800,000 credits to train all my skills.
But was that good? Was that healthy for people playing?
No.
I mean, yeah, it was a credit sink, but I don't think anybody found that fun.
But the thing is, they took out all these credit sinks and replaced them with nothing, and then didn't do anything about money coming into the economy from exploits.
Well, they added Galactic Seasons. Do you know how much you would have to spend to go from 0 to 100?
How much, Scya?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's close. It's over 6 billion credits you'd have to spend if you're going to 0 to 100.
Wow.
That's a credit sink, bro. And then lots of people, you can do it on multiple servers. The only catch is, are the people who exploiting wanting to do that? Is it worth it to them? Do they care about that? I don't know. I know plenty of people were buying that 0 to 100. I know a lot of people were doing it with the cartel coins. I don't know about 6 billion credits. That's a lot. Even I didn't do that much.
Yeah, but I mean, you could do some and then pay for the rest in credits, knowing that you're getting a Hypercrate. I don't know. I
for sure did.
I don't know.
I bought, I think, it was like 10 levels near the end because I knew I wouldn't have time to finish it. And that was a big chunk of change right there.
The problem with credit sinks now, if they're not going to remove money from the economy, is a credit sink at this point would be very punishing to probably more than half their player base. People who are new.
Yes, that's the idea.
People who are free to play or preferred for whatever reason. It is absolutely going to be punishing on them. It's going to punish the have-nots, and the haves are not going to be affected at all. It is not going to fix the problem.
That Dantooine achievement is a great example of a credit sink because the Galactic Seasons, you actually get a ton of cartel coins for it. It's not really the best example, but in the Dantooine example, you literally get a toy that turns you golden for 150 million credits. There's like no absolute reason. You do not need it. You cannot do anything with it. You cannot make money with it later. You get it because, I don't know, you have a bunch of money and you want to spend it on something fun and exclusive. And however, that 150 million for players with credits is really not too bad. If you have 1 billion credits, what's 150 mil? But if you're new to the game and you're still struggling to make your like first 10 million credits, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? 150 million credit achievement? It doesn't do anything for them. So they have to be careful when adding credit sinks that they don't add things that players really, really want. Like, let's imagine there was a really awesome Volptilla mount. It was the purple, pink, orange, rainbow Volptilla mount, and it costs 1 billion credits. And you're like, yeah, that'll take all the credits out of the economy. But then the new players are sad because they have literally no way to go get that. It's impossible. Plus, the devs have to waste a bunch of time on creating a credit sink that's literally there to sop up money from people exploiting instead of creating real content for the game.
So I'm not really sure at this point what credit sink they could introduce that would not be punishing to many, many players.
It's got to be little garbage like glowing toys or titles or, stuff like that.
Well, or what's the next idea you had, Scya?
The next idea is more of a general economy theory, is when there's inflation, you can either bring the credit inflation down, or you can just increase the supply of items so what, a lightsaber costs 30 million credits? It's fine. There's 50,000 lightsabers for sale, so everyone just undercuts everyone, and that brings the price down. Not really as much of a problem if everyone's selling one. There's a problem, though. Because let's say we're talking about, what was it? Executioner's Maw was the really expensive lightsaber you were talking about earlier.
So ugly.
Right now it costs a lot of, it's certainly something.
It's fucking hideous.
It's real sparkly, real something.
It's a look, that's for sure.
But it's worth a lot of credits, and you also would have to buy it for a lot of cartel coins on the cartel market. So you kind of have to pick your poison if you wanted to go get it. So one thing BioWare could do to help inflation on the GTN is just dump a bunch of these rare lightsabers into the economy. Give them for free, give them as quest rewards, make them for 10 cartel coins on the cartel market. Whatever it is, whatever way they want us to do. And this is something that happens in a lot of other games. When an item is too expensive, they can just flood the market with that item, making it more accessible to more players. But BioWare has a conflict of interest because if it suddenly starts selling for 10 cartel coins or suddenly you can get it for free, you don't need to buy it from the cartel market anymore. So it's really, I imagine, really hard for them to decide when figuring out increasing the supply, the balance there of, stopping making money versus fixing our games economy.
So my opinion on that is that when the cartel market first came out, I thought, oh, this is cool. Because stuff in the game at the time that you could craft was really just not that cool looking.
No.
Okay, so you get this Hypercrate, and finally you get some stuff that looks cool. But then the problem became they stopped making things in game that looked cool.
And that's a huge gripe for me. I'm so sad about the lack of in-game cool stuff you can earn. Like, this is a big wham for me.
So after having observed this for 10 years, I am just going to say, and it might be an unpopular opinion, the cartel market stuff should never have been allowed to have been traded on the GTN. It has really contributed to this issue because it is the only stuff that is valuable and you have to buy it with real money.
That might have helped, actually. A lot of other games do it that way, right? I'm trying to think. In World of Warcraft, when you bought one of the super cool mounts, could you sell it? Or was it just for you?
I don't know. I think in Final Fantasy 14 you can buy stuff, but I don't think you can put it on their market.
So everyone listening here who plays other games, when it comes to cosmetic items that you can buy in other games, in your other favorite games, can you buy or sell them, and how does that work on your economy there? So obviously they can't dump that super rare lightsaber into the economy, but you're right that you mentioned they kind of did stuff like that before. Like, we've gotten cartel market items earned in the past too. Like, I remember there was the Dark versus Light event. We could get some items through that, and we can get a couple items straight from the cartel market in the Galactic Seasons. You would get these little boxes of silver or bronze stuff that would have an item you could even buy or sell.
Yeah, but in the later event, weren't those bound to you?
Yeah, the Dark versus Light event, they were bound. You're right.
Yeah, they were bound to you.
But one way or the other, they never introduced enough that way to bring down the cost of things, for sure.
And a lot of it they hid in basically a loot crate. They hid it in gambling.
Yes. Randomized, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So a nice credit sync would be you debut an item on the cartel market 1 to 2 years later. It becomes an automatic direct buy from the cartel market or from a vendor.
1 to 2 years?
Or from a vendor. Not craft, but you buy it on a vendor for money.
And then how do you get it with cartel coins in your idea?
Direct buy. Instead of it being a random drop from the pack.
Oh, right.
It's now a direct buy.
So you'd have the option of either spend 50 million credits on a vendor or buy it for 2,000 cartel coins on the cartel market?
Right. Or whatever the price might be.
That would certainly introduce something that we don't have right now, which is a ceiling for prices. Like, that item's never gonna, if you can get it from the vendor for 50 mil, you never need to go and buy it on the GTN for 60 or a billion credits. That's something we are kind of missing, is a ceiling. I thought a billion credits would be the ceiling, but apparently not. As we've learned this last little while.
But they won't. They won't, because at the end of the day, the cartel market makes them money. And they have to please investors and shareholders.
Mm-hmm. It's the biggest problem there.
That is the biggest problem. But I mean, I think it also makes people salty that they spend so much time on the cartel market. Remember when they made that thing when you open the packs, that it does that thing?
Yeah, the animation.
You spent money on that? We haven't had an operation in 2 years, but you've put people on this? It's terrible.
Right. I think all players have been clamoring for more content for years. I've never felt like there's been a point in the game's history except for launch where we felt we had enough content to play if we're playing on a regular basis. But I mean, it's either people are going to pay their subscription or they're not going to pay it. And the only way that they add more content in game is if people unsubscribe in enough numbers. And obviously that hasn't happened yet.
No, but it's really sad that better stuff doesn't drop from doing content in the game. It's really sad to me. It used to be fun. I used to do Artifice. I made my entire Switor fortune The very first year that it came out in December as a present, my best friend Norin gave me 5,000 credits.
Oh my god, what a generous gift. And what'd you do with that?
I started crafting artifice crystals with it. It was enough money that I could get started crafting artifice crystals. I crafted the low-level crystals. Honestly.
So the point you're getting at is you'd like more cool craftable stuff.
Yes. Because it makes you spend time in the game doing stuff.
And like I said, unless people unsubscribe, well, that's or stop playing, then that's just not going to happen, unfortunately. I wish I could be more optimistic or be like, everybody go on strike, but that's not how it works. That's not how gaming works. Most people they either keep playing or they just leave to play another game. They're not going to like stick around and deal with something they don't want to deal with.
We'll make our own underworld GTN where everything is reasonably priced.
Yeah, it's called General Chat. It's called General Chat, where you sell a Hypercrate for 1 billion credits. Unfortunately, that's the basic idea of the 3 different kind of types of fixes is going back in time, stopping the exploit, credit sinks, and increasing supply. And none of those kind of normal fixes are gonna work very well here. The more extreme fixes I've seen floating around is you could literally delete credits from the game and start an entirely, like, this is a crazy one and everybody would riot, and you get only a new type of currency from all quests, all vendors, everything like that. I saw someone jokingly call it calamari flan. And a really other crazy option could be, okay, no more credits are getting introduced to the economy. Quest givers no longer give credits or anything, and you guys gotta spend what's already out there. I don't think that would be very happy either, though.
Right, because that just punishes new people again.
Right, exactly. So with them, we'll wrap this up with them actually responding on the forums. Not necessarily responding to inflation, but at least vaguely acknowledging the fact that players are going crazy about it. Do you think they're going to do anything? Or do you think we're just going to sit in the same status quo that we've been for the last 10 years, getting worse and worse each year?
I think if they have a plan, it's coming with the next X Pack.
Right, it could be.
I mean, because nobody knows how gear is going to work.
We don't know nothing.
We don't really know anything. I mean, typically when things like this exist, if they're going to fix it, they will address it with the X Pack. That's usually when things drastically change in the game.
Mm-hmm. Everything gets turned around. Each expansion, something drastically changes.
I think they're going to charge admittance fees, for flashpoints.
It'll be a
sorry, you've got to buy a ticket to a Red Reaper.
Income-based flashpoint brackets.
Mal, that'll be 1 billion credits to do this flashpoint.
Oh man, and Mal will say, put it on my card.
No, Mal will say, oh man, I'm going through a tunnel, and the tunnel's called Alt F4. Anyway, with that, this has been the history of Star Wars: The Old Republic and how its economy became massively fucked up. And now for something completely different. Scya reading the news from atop a bicycle whilst carrying 5 pigeons. You heard it here last.
So there's not actually a lot of news going on right now inside the official Star Wars: The Old developer stuff, but there is a lot of events going on right now, and that's what I've been playing a lot of right now. I've been doing both the Feasts of Prosperity event and the double XP event, where you also get double Renown, double Valor, as well as double GSF Requisition, and that's running from October 12th to November 2nd, 2021. So if you want to take advantage of either of those, now's the time to do it. If you're doing the Feast of Prosperity event, we actually got an update about the I don't have to put up with this achievement is now actually obtainable now. They fixed the bug for that. Very exciting. If you're running the Belsavis world boss, there's a bit of a bug with him, and he may be bugged in various instances. You'll have to kind of check around and see if you can get him up. And there's also...
Didn't that happen last time?
Yeah, it happened last time too. It's a repeat of last year's bug.
God.
And lastly, if you're doing the new recipe that's showing up once they fix the bug for I don't have to put up with this is something called Supreme Nexu Tongue, Spicy Nexu Tongue. There is a bit of a bug when you go to chuck it in the grill. Try chucking it on the floor in front of the grill. Why that works, I don't know. It made me laugh so hard because I was asking in general chat, does anyone have any tips? And they were saying all kinds of stupid stuff like stand further away. You have to aim at the grill. Then this one person says, throw it on the floor. And I was like, okay. Oh, it worked. So there's your tip of the day.
Your restaurant is not getting an A for the health exam grade, that's for sure.
Hey, look, the Jason chef droid passed me, so I don't want to hear about it. Later in the month, if you want to do some bounty hunting, the bounty event will be running October 19th through 26th, 2021. That's really it for the news, so.
All right. Well, we talked a lot about the economy today. And gosh, if anyone out there has got thoughts or feelings, lay it on us. Get in those YouTube comments, get on Twitter, bother us. You don't bother us. We want to hear. I want to hear about it.
I love hearing from you guys about the podcast. You crack me up. I love hearing your guys' stories and anecdotes too.
Yes, I enjoy it. Well, Scya, I really think that is all we have for today.
We'll get back to our usual featured segments in the next podcast, as this has been a special report. We'll see you guys all later.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Starforge Podcast with Scya and Mal. We know you have your choice of podcasts, and you chose the right one. For show notes and other information, visit starforgepodcast.com and hit us up on Twitter at StarforgeCast. We'd love to hear from you. Listen in with Google or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or on Swtorista's YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Friday, so mark your calendar and come join the party. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Hey baby, look. I'm from a RP PvP server. We sold it there too. Okay.
Oh yeah, baby. Stun me harder. Drop into stealth and stab me from behind.
Oh my god, okay. That's recording, isn't it? God damn.